This episode of the Flush Podcast is brought to you by Federal Premium Ammunition, by Onyx Hunt, the #1 GPS hunting map app. Onyx, know where you stand. And by Chief Upland, push further and hunt longer with the game-changing vest from Chief Upland, built for your pursuit. Today I'm joined by an upland bird hunting entrepreneur to discuss his journey into the business side of hunting. Jake Lindemann shares the ups and downs of starting a company during a global pandemic, what he's learned, and how he has found his success. Welcome to another episode of the Flush Podcast. I'm Travis Frank. I'm your host. Brandon Morton is our producer. Jake Lindemann is my guest today. He's a driven hunter and a driven small business owner. But before we get into Jake's story, I want to begin with a viewer question. So, Jake, be thinking about your answer to this same question too. All right, here we go. Randy sent in this message a few days ago. If you had 1 week to hunt anywhere this season, where would it be? Well, there's a lot of places that I would like to hunt this year, but if I only had 1 week to hunt someplace and one place to go, anywhere that I could choose, and in the lower 48, I'm saying, my answer would be to start in northwest North Dakota. I'd spend a day hunting pheasants and Hungarian partridge in the farm fields. Then I'd jump into the Badlands and chase sharp-tailed grouse. After that, I'd hop across the border into eastern Montana to hunt pheasants, Hungarian partridge, and sharp-tailed grouse for probably 2 days. That particular region on the east side of Montana has so many birds right now packed into the same habitats where you can literally, your dog will go on point and you don't know if you're going to flush a Hungarian partridge, or if you're going to flush a pheasant, or if it's going to be a sharp-tailed grouse. Obviously, more of the grasses, short grass, you're likely to find the Sharpies, the buffalo berries, you're going to find the Sharpies, but they're all together. When I was out there last fall, I was just amazed at the opportunity and the beauty of that region, the western side of North Dakota, northwest and west, and then the east side of Montana is just the unbelievable amount of public ground. So if I'm traveling, I start in western North Dakota and I go into Montana for a couple of days. And then from there, I'm going to make a call based on how I'm feeling. I'm either going to drive south and get into Wyoming and hunt grouse in Wyoming, or I'm going to spend a couple of days in more of the mountainous terrain in Montana and chase rough grouse, blues. You can even get into some chukar into that part of Montana. So over the course of a week, you're going to hunt a variety of birds, a variety of terrain. The Badlands are just spectacular. They're just spectacular. But also, you don't have to go far to get into just a variety of birds. So that's where I would go if I had 1 week this year. And also, the bird numbers right now are just fantastic out in that area. So that's probably my top choice. Hopefully that helps, Randy. If it does, send us some photos of your hunt for this fall once you make that happen. Jake Lindemann, if you had one place to go this week or this season to hunt for a week, where would you go and why?
Well, Travis, it's hard to beat the pheasant hunting in South Dakota. I've been out a few times and plan on going again this year. That's hard to pass up for sure. But if I've hunted some ruffed grouse in northern Wisconsin too, and love that. But one hunt I've never gotten to do yet is the mountain country out west, and I would love to chase chukar out in a place like Utah, and just take in that scenery and the awesome hiking. And I think it'd be a great day, even if you didn't bring home any birds.
Right. Once you get out into that country, you're a flatlander like I am. So once you get into some of that land, it's hard not to be overwhelmed by it. I mean, I feel small when I'm out there, and that's what I really, really love. And like I mentioned earlier, when you get out into Montana, Wyoming, Dakotas, certain parts of Dakotas, you find just the amount of public land that's available. And, being from Minnesota
Yeah.
and we have that in places, but that's up north a lot, the big tracts, the
Yeah.
forested areas. Most of our grassland is, if we have a 640 acre section, that's a pretty good sized chunk of public land. In
Yeah.
Montana, you might be talking 10,000 acres, 20,000 acres on just a single property, that's been opened up like block management, private land open to hunting for the public. I mean, there's just a lot of opportunities out there. And that's why I feel like when you get out west and in the mountainous, the BLM lands, you can hunt for days and days and days and days and days and never see the same thing twice.
Right. That room to roam there's such a
Mm-hmm.
free feeling to that, knowing you can turn any direction and you're still on the public land.
Yep. Jake, are you a hunter that likes to travel, or do you like to hunt near home?
A little bit of both. Like I mentioned, I've been out to South Dakota a few times,
Mm-hmm.
hunting pheasant. We'll drive up to northern Wisconsin to do some grouse hunting. We've driven over to Minnesota a handful of times to hunt whitetail as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to travel more for it, but to be honest, it's hard to take the time to do it. Right, you got to get away for a solid week,
Mm-hmm.
and that's hard with having a day job and multiple businesses, and so I'd love to do it more, but I do most of my hunting close to Wisconsin.
Well, you mentioned having multiple businesses, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show because you jumped into the world of hunting and business, and that's one of the questions I get asked a lot ever since I've been in this industry. Is hey, if you're looking for a hunter that can join your team, let me know. I'd love to do it. Or how do you get into the business side of the outdoor world? It's so common because I feel like we love, right? We just have this passion for hunting or fishing, and we want to make it our career. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is I feel like you've done that, right? You've jumped in, you have started a business. The business is called Chief Upland, and you just launched this company. How long ago did you launch it?
So I launched it on social media last June, but I was working on product designs for a good 2 years before that, and as somebody wanting to get into the hunting industry, especially with starting a brand or a product,
Mm-hmm.
a key word that you just mentioned was, you said jumped in, and that's so true. If you have an idea, like, you just got to jump. The key is starting, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I launched last June, I did not feel ready, but I've been working with a few entrepreneurship coaches over the year, and the recurring theme was just start. So,
Just do it.
finally in June, it's like, you know what? I'm launching, right? I didn't have my product yet. I had it designed, but,
Mm-hmm.
and we went through 6 rounds of prototyping and all that. But the prototypes were, pretty much all in black fabric, not in my branded colors. It's just kind of how prototyping goes. So I had no real photography. So there was a lot of things holding me back from taking that leap. And finally, I just said, you know what? I'm going to have some sketches made up of the product, and I'm just going to take the leap and get started.
Well, can you explain? Give me a rundown. I mean, I own one of your hunting vests. I love it. But can you explain it to somebody that maybe has never heard of it or doesn't know about it, or what makes it different than a lot of other vests, upland hunting vests on the market?
Yeah. So, my idea for the vest came through a lot of market research and being heavily involved in whitetail bow hunting before.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of advanced technical gear for big game hunting. And when I would go upland hunting, it's your gear selections felt so much more limited. And there's a lot of advanced technological features for outdoor apparel that were missing from the upland space. And so I started researching, what are people looking for in an upland vest? What do they love? What do they not love? And how many of these features through this feedback can I combine into one product? So that's how my ideas started. And then it's just, fitting in every feature and leaving some features behind, to still have a really functional product and really comfortable and ergonomic. So it's kind of my research process to figure it all out. And from there, it's just, going to the drawing board and testing different features through prototyping. And it keeps getting better, and we're still getting better at improving the product.
When you say you did a lot of market research, can you explain what that looks like? Or, how did you find people? Did you just go out into the field and talk to hunters? Or did you, reach out to them on social media? I mean, what does that look like today, market research?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of all of that. Google is a beautiful tool and it's free. So just, reading reviews online of other products, getting out in the field with friends and family, and, talking to other hunters at the game farms, or talking with the guides in South Dakota, and just, you really get a feel for what people are after. And you find that there's no one perfect vest for everybody. Even the Chief Upland vest, as far as we've advanced it, it's still not going to be perfect for everybody. But it's, I tried to combine as many features as I possibly could into one vest. And what that ended up being is utilizing that customizable MOLLE system that we see used on a lot of military gear. So it's kind of, the vest itself is an ergonomic frame. I like to call it, it's more of a human tool. As humans, we need to carry weight, and we need to carry it ergonomically without hurting our back or shoulders. And hunting is a great use for that tool. But I'm actually surprised at how many people use the vest for things other than hunting too, like hiking and working construction. And it's a really, really functional piece of outdoor apparel. And, so you can pick and choose your attachments. I've got a handful of them designed already, and I've got a few more in the works. But being a standard MOLLE system, you can attach just about anything you can think of. It doesn't have to be a Chief branded attachment.
So you're talking the gun pouch, water holders, explain some of the different attachments. And then when you say you attach them, it kind of, basically what I'm getting at is, when I got mine, I opened up the box and the vest was a standalone, and then my attachments were in their individual packages, and I had to figure out where I wanted to put them. And I've moved them a couple of times, but can you explain the idea for allowing people to put them where they want?
Yeah. So, we've got a couple different ammo attachments you can choose from: gun stock rest, water bottle pouch, an electronics pouch that can carry a phone or a dog remote. And it's just, everybody's got a little bit of a different hunting style. And it may depend if you have dogs or if you don't have your own dogs. It depends if you're hunting in a cooler climate, or if you're out west or down south in a hotter climate, for example, Arizona, you're going to want to carry a lot of water. So you're probably going to have a water bladder in there. You're probably going to have 2 or more water bottle holders. But if I'm hunting grouse in the snow in northern Wisconsin, I don't necessarily need all that much water. I bring enough for the dogs and a little for myself, but that's it. So I can instead use that space for something else. So it just, depending on where you're hunting, what you're hunting, how many dogs you have, are you going to be gone from the truck all day, or are you at a game farm where you can stop back at the truck once in a while? That all affects the cargo that you have to carry with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can set it up and leave it for the whole season, or you have the ability to change out those attachments between hunts, or even from morning to afternoon if you want.
When you said that you researched this product, obviously you researched the material that you would want to use. How did you end up on, is it Cordura? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
How did you end up choosing that?
I had a couple of non-negotiable features I needed in the fabrics, and that's, obviously durability. It needs to be briar proof and tear proof, and even the liner's a ripstop fabric. I just tried to think through anywhere on the vest that you could possibly get caught on any brush. It needs to be durable because it needs to last a long time. So durability was huge, and we're using 1000 denier Cordura for that, which is just about ballistic rated, and it's even more durable than a lot of military gear is. And Cordura is used by the military as well. And then it's also waterproof. We even add an extra waterproof coating to it. That was a big thing too, because I want people to be able to use it rain or shine, in the snow or rain, and have no issues with it. A different material that soaks up water is just going to make the vest that much heavier when you're carrying it. Mm-hmm.
Plus, you want to make sure that, obviously, if you've got electronics, most people have their phones with them now when they're hunting, and the e-call. I mean, you want your stuff to stay dry. Nobody wants to put wet shotgun shells in either. Where did the name Chief Upland come from?
So it's actually named after my dog Chief. So I have a chocolate lab named Chief, and he's my first ever dog that I've owned myself. My wife and I, so I have a special attachment to him. I like to say you only get one first dog in your lifetime, and there's a bond there that can never be repeated. I'll love every other dog I own in my lifetime just as much, but you're never going to be able to say you have that first dog bond. Mm-hmm. And there's something special about that with, training a dog to hunt it's a lot of work, and it's tough, and it's not easy with your first dog, right? So I learned a lot of things the hard way. I taught him some stuff, and he sure taught me some stuff as well. So Chief has been through some difficult things himself. And so I always, like to say that he's got grit and perseverance, and that's what I'm building into the Chief Upland brand. He's had a tumor removed from his mouth, and he lost a couple teeth, including a canine with that. And from that surgery, he actually came out of that surgery with a paralyzed larynx. And so he's got half of his larynx sewn open. And so he's just a tough dog. It hasn't slowed him down at all. He still comes out to South Dakota with me. And so him and Chief and I share a common level of grit, I like to say.
Well, where do you call home, Jake?
Manitowoc, Wisconsin.
Manitowoc, the hometown of Making a Murderer?
Absolutely, yep. Wow, we weren't famous until that show.
Everybody knows where you live then. Holy crap. Yep, oh my goodness. Yep. Was it weird to watch? I assume you watched that Netflix show, right?
Honestly, I didn't watch it. I haven't.
What?
I never felt the need, because I know so much about the story just from living in the town, and watching it over and over on the news and all that. Yeah. I never took the time to watch the show. It didn't interest me a whole lot.
Oh man, I would wonder if they did it correctly, if it was accurate, like knowing what and living there, if, watching it back, if you're like, oh, come on, that's not, no. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So when did you decide, you've got multiple businesses, right? So when did this start for you that you just thought, you know what, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do this. I want to own my own company. I mean, has this been a goal of yours your whole life? And well, first of all, how old are you now?
I am 31.
31. So man, young man. Nice. When did you start your first business?
I started, so I was basically born an entrepreneur. I've got a lot of relatives that were entrepreneurs, so it's definitely in the Lindemann blood. And my dad actually started his first business when he was 18. And so I actually ended up beating him and launching my first business when I was 16.
Wow.
And
What'd you do?
So one of my early passions in life was skateboarding and snowboarding. So I saw an opportunity in Manitowoc to open a skate shop. Our city raised a bunch of money to build a brand new skate park, and there wasn't a skate shop within, at least like 50 miles in any direction. And I'm like, who's gonna sell these people skateboards? And it just like that was the seed, and I just went for it. So that I played every sport growing up, and when I launched that business, I quit all. I was a sophomore in high school at that time. I quit all sports, and entrepreneurship became my sport. So, it just that led into some entrepreneurship scholarships, and I went to school and studied entrepreneurship. And when I went to school, then I sold that business. It just got to be too tough to run. And then a couple years after that, I launched a business with some friends called Wisconsin Bow Bros. And we were an internet retailer of bow hunting supplies. And that was a fun business, and we had some good success for a couple of years. But I always had this burning desire to launch my own product and my own brand. I loved the bow hunting business, but I wasn't passionate about selling other people's products and other people's brands. I really wanted to be in control of the product and the brand. And I got this idea for the Upland vest, and sat down with my buddies and told them what I was planning on doing. And we ended up dissolving that business, the bow hunting business, so that I could focus more on Chief Upland.
Gotcha. So that online retailer no longer exists?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. When you went to school, what did you go to school for?
I earned a degree in finance and a certificate in entrepreneurship.
Nice. Attaboy.
Yeah. I went to UW Milwaukee, and they didn't have an entrepreneurship degree, or that's what I would have done. So I did finance with a certificate in entrepreneurship. So it was a good experience, but I almost wish that I would have dove into entrepreneurship full time right out of high school. There's definitely some invaluable lessons I learned in college, but I definitely wouldn't say you have to have college experience to be an entrepreneur.
What do you need to have? What do you think you need to have?
I would say perseverance. If you want it, if you've got a goal and you want to go after it, anybody can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not something to take lightly. It's fun when you've got the successes, but entrepreneurship is a life of having gritty moments behind the scenes that nobody knows about. And, a lot of those are at 2 a.m. or on Sunday afternoon when you've just you gotta buckle up and get stuff done. So it's fun, and you can earn freedom through entrepreneurship, but it's still hard work.
Can you elaborate on any of those gritty moments that you've come across yet, where you're like, oh gosh, what was I thinking?
It's the grittiest time for me was working on the designs and developing the vest and getting it launched and produced in time for the fall 2020 hunting season. And it got I had been developing it for 2 years, and I was actually hoping to launch it at Pheasant Fest um, a couple years ago, and I didn't have it quite done, and I couldn't launch it yet. So I finally was like, all right, I'm not missing this fall hunting season coming up in fall of 2020. So I had to really buckle up and get the designs done. And I remember weeks on end of staying up till midnight or 2 in the morning working on it, to push it through, because this was, I've been doing this in addition to my day job too. So, I'm super busy with an entrepreneurial position in my day job as well. And then I would come home at night and work on this. And while it's fun, it's not always fun at midnight or 2 in the morning when you're really tired and you got to get up at 6 a.m. for work the next day.
Mm-hmm.
But I would throw my headphones on and listen to some good music, and that would just keep me going for a few hours through the night, burning the midnight oil for sure.
Nice. Well, I respect your drive, and in some ways, my story is kind of similar, because when I was 16, I started my own fishing guide service and built that up through high school, and then by the time I want to say like a sophomore in college, I was able to quit my summer job and just guide full time until I graduated college. I just built up enough clients. But there's many times, and there's still times today where I still do the guiding, and there's a lot of work that goes into it. People think, oh, you're just going to go out, take somebody fishing for a few hours, not a lot of work. No, that's not true. I provide an experience, right? So I'm making sure that
Right.
everything is taken care of before and after, that the equipment is working, that they have everything that they need. It's a clean setup. So it's a couple hours of prep beforehand as well as after, and then you're getting up early to get back on, your normal job, your other job, so it takes a lot of work, but there's a reward to that is difficult to describe. If you could have a slam dunk day in your business or a day in the field, which one would you prefer? Like, what gives you a bigger rush?
Oh, in the field for sure. I mean, if I
It's
can
still
spend a
it's
day
still
hunting,
hunting.
oh yeah, it's got
Okay.
to be, right. You got to still live life, and you gotta have fun. Without those days and moments, really, you're an entrepreneur because you're passionate about business, but your real goals are to get the most out of life. And I'm trying to pursue entrepreneurship so I can have more of those days hunting, not less,
Well,
and
well, sorry, go ahead.
um, I was going to say one thing when you're talking about your fishing guide service. It's, what people see on the outside is that you're fishing all day with your buddies, but what it really is all that behind the scenes work. And your time spent actually fishing is probably a fraction of the time spent on the business side of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and actually, from my own personal story, I don't, when I guide, I don't fish. I know a lot of fishing guides that do, and they say, well, I need to fish in order to tell my clients what's working. I say, nope, I'm going to tell my clients what they need to do so that they are successful and they are going to find out what's working. Plus, my years of experience should already tell me that, or put them in that position to be more successful. So, I reached a point where I knew I didn't want to guide full time. I had the clients, I had enough there where I could do it full time. I didn't have to work a different job, but I found out that I hated life and I didn't want to fish. I'm serious, Jake. I grew to resent fishing. I was out on the water 50, 60 days straight, sometimes 2 times a day. And I learned that the thing that I enjoyed doing most in life was something that I grew to hate. And that to me was my cue to say, I need to take a step back here. When I'd get done working and my buddies would say, hey, you want to go fishing? I'd say, no, I don't. I'm burnt out. I don't want to go out on the lake. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
why I scaled back on that. And fortunately, I'm doing the television side now and podcasting, and now I'm mixing a little bit of everything, and the variety is there, and I've learned to reappreciate that. So my question to you is, in mixing business with pleasure, have you found it to be something that turns you off of the things that you enjoy, which would be hunting in this case?
I haven't got to that point yet, but
Okay.
like you said, that's a real concern as somebody wanting to be an entrepreneur and start a business in the hunting or fishing or any other outdoor space. Is you definitely got to think about, is it still going to be fun if I do this as my job every day? And if I'm running a hunting business, am I going to still be able to find time to hunt on my own? I've had a good balance of it so far, but I can definitely see where if you're, like in your case, when you're guiding fishing day after day after day, then you kind of lose that fire to go out fishing on your own. And definitely something to be conscious of.
Right. I remember, and I think I mentioned it before on this podcast, but I believe it was one of the Lindners, Al Lindner, Ron Lindner. I grew up watching their fishing shows on TV, and I
Yeah.
remember somebody saying one time that Ron, or it was either Ron or Al, and I could be wrong here, but somebody told me that they despised the fishing because they got ruined by it, and then they had to re-find that love again. So it can happen, right? I mean, it can definitely happen when you make your passion your career. But I still look back and I wouldn't do anything different. Would you?
No, definitely not.
Gotcha. Well, so I got my vest last fall, about halfway through hunting season, and I opened up this box, and inside was my vest, and there was also a letter, a handwritten note that you wrote in the box. I showed it to my wife and I said, honey, this guy's going to make it. And she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, okay, so if this is a good product, and I'll put it to the test, but if you have a good product and you are honest with people and treat them right, I don't care what you sell, you're going to be successful at it.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake, I mean, from what I'm seeing, I feel like, I've followed you now on social media, and I feel like, you're passionate about it. First of all, do you write letters to everybody?
Every single order.
Ooh,
Yep.
every single one of them. Your wrist must be getting sore from writing them.
Yeah, that's a step that takes time, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, some days I don't want to sit down and write a bunch of those cards. But I do, because I know it matters to my customers, and it leaves an impact and shows the customer how much I truly care.
Mm-hmm.
I when a customer orders a product from me, that's great, but to me, that's just the start of our journey together. I'm after lifelong customers, because as I continue developing products, I want to be able to share the success with the customer, and build a real connection through my brand. I think there's a lot of hunting brands out there that, as they grow and they get to a certain point, they lose that personal touch and maybe start pinching pennies on quality. They stop doing the handwritten notes, and that's my long-term goal, is to maintain my personal connection. A hashtag we use on social media a lot is Chief Uplanders. And I really believe in building that community, and, more and more being able to actually go on hunts with my customers and sharing valuable tips. If I can offer value, great, but I would also like to build a community where hunters can start sharing advice with each other, whether it's better ways to use the Chief products or just places to hunt, how to train dogs, anything like that. I'm a big believer that adding value in a brand means adding you. So I'm trying to add myself into the brand any way I can.
Well, the personal message is a nice touch. It left an impression with me. My wife, who didn't know that I was getting the vest, but she liked it with the message. But then just, I feel like, if your success continues, you're going to reach a point where you're not going to be able to write a handwritten message to every single person out there. But anyway, I hope you do. I hope it continues because it's good and it's personal and people like that, especially today. But today being, we're still in this pandemic and it's when you launched your business. What were some of the challenges you faced launching this during the COVID pandemic?
Yeah, well, I mean, the entire supply chain was completely flipped on its head during the pandemic, and that's definitely been the most difficult thing. The pandemic actually helps e-commerce sales because so many more people are shopping online instead of in store.
Mm-hmm.
But the back end of it, the supply chain and manufacturing, is just the lead times got totally insane. And so my vest is being made overseas. I love a good USA made product. I'm a patriot and I have a goal of bringing manufacturing into the US.
Mm-hmm.
But talking about adding value, I didn't want to have to sell the vest for $300 or $400, which is the price point I was looking at if I were to make it in the US. So I did take manufacturing overseas so I can sell the vest for under $200, and it's really an incredible value at that price.
Mm-hmm.
But as we grow and build demand and get to the point where we can manufacture in higher quantities, that's going to help my cost come down where I can manufacture it domestically. So I have every intention of getting to that point. But in the meantime, manufacturing overseas, it's the lead times on fabrics are crazy. Shipping is crazy. This is, the ports have been backed up for so long just trying to get product in. And this is something actually I've never told anybody. But one of those gritty moments, like we talked about in entrepreneurship, is I was risking, my product was in production, but I was risking not having it in time for the hunting season, which was a totally heartbreaking feeling.
Right.
So, it's working with the factories on what can we do? Can we produce it faster? How can we cut lead times on fabrics and the custom dyeing process and all that? And what it came down to is every single vest I produced, I ended up paying air freight to bring it into the US. And I invested well over $30,000 out of my pocket to air freight products in so that customers would have them in time for the hunting season. And then that happened. We actually, when we opened pre-orders, I pre-sold my entire production run in 6 weeks. And now, and then at that point, it's like, okay, we need to get more in production, but given the lead times, what are we going to do? How are we going to get them here fast enough?
Uh-huh.
So I air freighted a whole bunch more product in, and it came in like 2 days before Christmas. And so the week of Christmas, my wife and I and my parents and some friends, we all teamed up and we packed hundreds of orders the week of Christmas so that we could get them on people's doorstep by Christmas. And those are some of the gritty things that just make the difference when you're trying to build a lasting brand and build a customer connection. And it's not something that it's not something to brag or boast about,
Mm-hmm.
that investment. It's just those are the real things that happen in entrepreneurship that you can't predict.
The risks that scare people, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And my wife, Kristen, is, she doesn't get enough credit, being behind the scenes and allowing me to take those risks as an entrepreneur. It's risky, but if you do it right, the reward is huge.
Right. What's her role in the business? She has to have a role, right? Besides being your supporter, number one.
Yeah, right. Well, like you said, number one is keeping me alive. No, she's great. I mean, she takes the dogs running. She helps out a ton. While I have those late nights working on stuff till 2 a.m. I absolutely couldn't do it without her support. But she also steps in and helps. She actually does a lot of order shipping. She's an accountant by trade, so she helps me with the bookkeeping side of things, and just really steps in wherever I need it, and it's been huge.
How do you use today's social media world as a startup business to your advantage?
It's really an amazing time we live in. If you think about social media, we can reach anybody anywhere at any time, and it's an amazing tool to leverage as an entrepreneur. Before social media, to be able to launch a brand and drive revenue within the first 6 months would be very difficult. That used to be brick and mortar stores, face-to-face sales. And that's still an important part of our economy, but through social media, you can interact with customers at any time. You can put out videos or podcasts or anything like that to add value. So with customer support too, it's not just email anymore. Or phone. You can call, email, or you can message us through Facebook or Instagram, and we're going to get you feedback right away. So just that instant back and forth with customers is super valuable.
What advice do you have for someone listening right now that maybe has their own idea or fears behind launching that idea, but they want to start their company, or they have a product they want to make and they're not sure if they should? What would you tell them?
I think the fear's never going to go away. If entrepreneurship doesn't scare you a little bit, it may not be right for you, because that kind of keeps you going, conquering that next hurdle. So don't let the fears hold you back or slow you down. See those as an opportunity to improve or to get started. And you're going to have, like I think you mentioned before, you have this feeling, this rewarding feeling when you accomplish those hurdles. Other than that, you just got to start. There's so many things you don't know or can't predict about your brand or your business or your product, that just getting started, you're going to learn so much. And your very first product doesn't necessarily have to be successful. We made some changes on the fly to our over-under vest between the first production run and the second production run, because I learned so much by just getting that first production run out in the field. And so, go into it knowing your product may not be perfect, but have that open mind and open ears to take those suggestions from customers to heart. And your second or third product is going to be a real killer product.
Yeah. Well, what are you excited about moving forward? You've got this new vest. I saw that you came out with a turkey vest as well this spring. That looks pretty sweet. Is there more on the horizon that we can look forward to? I feel like, there's a lot of upland bird hunters, or just hunters in general, that really get into the gear side of the hunt. So what's going on in your brain?
There's a lot going on in my brain. It never shuts off, that's for sure. I'm very detail oriented and very passionate about products and branding, and I've got more ideas than I'm ever probably going to be able to accomplish, but I'm picking and choosing some of the ideas at the top of the list, and I've got some more designs in the works, some more vest related ideas, some complementary products, that there's going to be some things launching for this fall yet. Then a lot more for 2022, and 2022 is going to totally change the landscape for our brand and for upland hunters. I wish I could say more about it.
I was going to say, can you give us just a little bit, just a little nugget?
I would just, it's so early to talk about, I want to get designs finalized more, but
fair enough.
anybody that's enjoyed the over-under vest system is going to be able to trust that every product we come out with is going to be just as technically advanced and going to have the same grit and passion behind it that I put into the vest system. I will never release a product I wouldn't use myself. And we go through so much testing to make sure that product is going to add value to you and make your upland experiences that much better. So it's going to be exciting. I can't wait to tell everybody more about those designs, but it's
sure.
I guess one thing that I've made public is we're working on a larger version of the upland vest, or the over under vest. And so that's going to be out for this fall. I'll be opening up pre-orders pretty soon for that. And that's going to fit a larger size much better. Okay. The Molly panels on it are going to wrap further around your sides, and I think people that are taller are going to like it a little better. So that's definitely coming out. But I can't say a lot about the entirely new products yet.
Gotcha. So big picture, I mean, you've had many businesses, you sold businesses now, you're 31. What's your big picture look like? You're going to retire by the age of 40 and you're going to have sold 10 businesses by then?
Yep. No, Travis, I'm never going to retire. I'm a worker. I just want to get away from the term workaholic and make sure it's work that I'm passionate about, so that it feels like I never work a day in my life. But like I said, in high school, I quit sports and entrepreneurship became my sport. I'm really that passionate about it. Mm-hmm. But my goal, I guess I have the personality of anything that I start, I want to be the best at it. And it's no different with Chief Upland. My goal is to be the top upland brand in the world. And if I don't go forward with that mentality, then I'm going to start cutting corners, and that's not what I'm after. In every aspect of the product design, the customer experience, the personal notes, my goal is to be the best I possibly can be throughout the whole brand.
Well, we appreciate you sharing your journey with us. It's always cool to learn how things come to life, right? And this is your story. Nobody else has it. You make a great vest. I've worn it. I like it. It works very well. It's well built. But really, for me, I don't know. There's something about, you opening up and telling us what's going on in your mind, and knowing who's behind something, so I can be like, dang, Jake works his butt off to make sure that, this product works well. And it's just, it's the personal connection to something. So thank you. That's what I'm trying to say in a lot of words. Thank you for taking the time today. I know you're busy. I know you got to hit the road here, but for sharing your journey with us. Hopefully it impacts somebody else. Last question for you. If somebody has their own idea or thoughts, would you be open to them if they ever wanted to reach out to you, with more information about what you do and how you got where you got?
Yes, for sure. As an entrepreneur, that's another thing that I'm passionate about, is anytime I can help other people, mm-hmm. I love to help. I'm not afraid of some friendly competition. I'm not going to give away my secret design ideas, but I will happily help anybody get started down the right path and get to the point where they can take that leap. No doubt. I would actually love to help people do that.
Very cool. Where's the best place for people to learn more about your product and you?
Website is chiefupland.com. Otherwise, you can find us on various social media channels. Just at Chief Upland is our handle. You can find my personal page on Instagram, which is at Single-Handed Warrior, which actually something we didn't really talk about, but I was born with one hand. I was born missing my left hand, and that
really
just has added a level of grit to my whole life. every single day I have to utilize grit and perseverance. It's to the point where I don't even think about it. When other people ask about it, it's like, oh yeah. But it's a cool way to be able to inspire people too, and show people that there's really nothing that can hold you back if you set your mind to it.
Wow. I had no idea, Jake. Now I have all these questions going on in my mind. When you go hunting, how does that work if you've only got one hand?
So I'm a right-handed shooter and I'm missing my left hand. So
Okay.
I shoulder on the right side and luckily, I'm blessed to have my full arm length, just no hand. So I can reach my arm out far enough to rest the gun on when I'm shooting. But yeah, like I said, I played every sport growing up. I was a pitcher in baseball and a point guard in basketball. And I actually feel lucky that I was born that way, as opposed to losing my hand at some point in life and having to relearn how to do things.
Right. So you were born without your left hand.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So who was your biggest inspiration? Was it Jim Abbott? Didn't he pitch with one hand?
Yep. Yeah, I actually have an autographed baseball from Jim Abbott.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Holy cow.
Yeah,
Jake, why did you tell me this before? Our whole podcast would be different right now, my friend.
Hey, we'll do it again, Travis. When I can
Wow.
talk more about new products and stuff, I'd love to jump back on with you.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. Thanks for leaving us inspired today, Jake. I wish you nothing but the most success.
Thank you, Travis. And it's an honor for you to have me on this show. It's one of those things when you're starting a business that kind of becomes a goal to get on some of the big podcasts and be able to share more value in the industry. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, can I tell you that it's also just a real honor for myself when I found out that you wanted to become a sponsor of our podcast. I was like, oh, love that. Because for me to be able to talk to people that I share the passion with or that I believe in, it means a lot to me. I wanted to have you as a guest on the show before I found out that you were going to be sponsoring it. I know we emailed back and forth a couple months ago about it, or several weeks ago, and your schedule is just so busy. But I truly appreciate your support and wanting to be a part of this. It helps us keep our upland bird hunting passion alive and talking about it, introducing new hunters. And I assure you, when the emails come in, people that learn stuff on here or from the guests, they really, really appreciate it. And that's our goal, right? To just inspire more people to get out in the field, stay out in the field, and enjoy the wild world. So you're all a part of it. Obviously, your products are, but even the support of us means a lot too. So thank you. And we'll definitely be in touch.
That sounds good, Travis. Happy to be a part of it.
Awesome. Well, once again, thanks to Federal Premium Ammunition and Onyx Hunt, as well as Chief Upland for helping us to make this show possible. Be sure to download the Onyx Hunt app before your next hunting adventure to find out why it's one of the most valuable hunting tools available today. And check out the all-new, fully customizable Chief Upland vest for your next hunt. They're built by Jake himself. You just heard his amazing story. Built for your pursuit. If you enjoyed this podcast in particular, or if you have any other ideas for guests, if you have questions, send them my way. I want to know what you're thinking about, what you want to hear. I'm doing my best to find guests in our world that we love, the upland world, doing my best to cover different topics. But if there's something that you want, just let me know. Find us on social media at The Flush TV or www.theflush.tv. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back next week with another episode of The Flush Podcast. I'm Travis Frank, reminding you to take the time to introduce someone new to the field.